What is good, NIO family? It's Rey-Jay back with another video. And in this one, I'm going to break down what's going on with NIO stock and what you should be watching for going forward. I'm also going to talk about what the news is saying about NIO and what you should be watching for, as we have lots of Fed speakers coming out for the week. What you should be watching for going into tomorrow for NIO, Tesla, SPY, in the QQQ. Before I break anything down about all these different charts to talk about what you should be watching for, let me just mention a couple of things before starting. Firstly, I'm not a financial planner, so take none of this as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please smash the like button if you want to see more videos like this. It not only benefits me, it benefits the entire NIO community as a whole. And finally, don't forget about the Moomoo link, which is down below in the description. If you put in $100, you're guaranteed 5 free stocks with a $100 cash reward, plus another benefit. If you put in $1,000, you're guaranteed 10 free stocks in total. So the offer ends very soon, in just 11 days, so check it out before they run out. With that out of the way, let's get on with the video. Anyways, guys, let's talk about the market now. Let's talk about what's going on with NIO. I just want to remind everyone that we have lots of catalysts coming out for the week. Specifically, tomorrow we have a bunch of Fed speakers. We have Bullard speaking 3 hours before the market opens. So please, please, please watch for Bullard. What he says is going to cause a very, very big move. I also want to add that later on, or after that, we have some housing data, and then Fed Williams speaking at about 2 hours after the market ends up opening. So Williams is going to be speaking, and when the Fed speakers speak, there's going to be a lot of volatility that comes to the markets. I also want to add that looking at Wednesday, we have Jerome Powell speaking again. So when Jerome Powell speaks, we have to expect another big move. Powell does move the markets very hard, and we're going to be seeing that again this week. Powell's going to be giving a testimony. Then we have lots of other Fed speakers right after. So we have a bunch of Fed speakers on Wednesday, and then on Thursday, the same thing is happening. If we look at Thursday, you can see right over here, we have Waller speaking from the Fed, jobless claims Bowman, Mester, and then Powell again on Thursday. So Powell is going to be speaking on Wednesday and Thursday. Make sure you guys are ready for that. Expect lots of volatility. And besides that, for Tuesday, we have 2 Fed speakers, which are just Bullard and Williams. So lots of Fed speakers for the week. Be ready for that. The news is basically comparing NIO to many of its counterparts and its other competitors. And they're basically saying that NIO has a lot of competition. We have to be careful because of that. However, going forward, guidance is still very positive for NIO, so I'm still optimistic. And we're going to see how they do for this latest deliveries report, which is coming out in less than 2 weeks. In about 11 to 12 days, NIO should have the next report, and that's going to be very huge for the company. It's going to determine if NIO continues to uptrend and hold these levels, or if NIO is going to start seeing some downside. NIO has good volume at 81 million, holding up quite nicely, so that's a good sign. Then looking at the data, we could see that there was a slight increase in NIO short interest. We saw another 17 million of the NIO shares being shorted just on Friday. So shorts continue to pile in. They're continuing to manipulate the stock, and we will see if this has a big effect on the share price going forward. Now we'll talk about the charts. What on earth is going on? First off, about SPY, just briefly. On the 30-minute time frame, SPY is starting to look like it's starting to downtrend a bit, but there's no confirmation yet. If it could hold above 440, there's a good chance that it could still hold these levels. With all the Fed speakers coming, I think there's an increased probability of this thing starting to downtrend. So if you want to see this thing downtrend favor the bears, need to break below 437. We're going to likely test that soon. If it breaks below that, we have major support as 433 on the 4-hour time frame, which is where the 50 EMA happens to be, and then 430. 430 is super important. We need to hold above that in order for the bulls to have the edge. If you zoom out of the chart, we could always get a back test of like the 430 level and still be on an uptrend. So if it breaks below 430, that's going to become a lot more bearish. If it manages to hold above it, it could still continue to get a nice bounce. So that's going to be the very big level to watch for on the macro trend. And for now, it looks like it's going to downtrend a bit. It could make its way down closer to this 437 area. I do believe the odds favor downside. But like I said before, it all depends on the Fed speakers. I think the Fed speakers may slow the market down a bit. I think we're going to start off maybe getting a bounce and just trade kind of sideways in the beginning. But later on during the week, we may see some more downside because of the Fed speakers. Tesla has a bullish setup right now. It has a bullish triangle that's developing, and it has more potential for upside. Tesla could try to push for that 264 area. If it breaks that, then there's going to be 268 and then potentially 270 plus. If Tesla could continue to uptrend and maintain this bullish triangle structure that it's been, developing. But the thing is about Tesla could easily be dictated by the markets. Yes, Tesla looks a little bit more bullish from a technical standpoint, but if the Fed speakers slow the market down big time, Tesla could start downtrending. We're going to be watching support at 260 if we can try to hold that. If that fails, watch 256 potentially, the mid 250s. Those are very, very important supports. And the most important support is going to be 250. It needs to hold above that. If it breaks below that, it's going to see a lot more downside. So please watch these levels on Tesla carefully. It looks more bullish from a technical standpoint right now. And it does look like it could get a retest of 264. Then if it breaks that 268 to 270 after that, the odds favor that, but like I said before, be careful with these Fed speakers. They are all over the place. Many of them are very hawkish, like Bullard. So just be careful, and we'll see what they say. Additionally, for the QQQ, before I talk about NIO, the QQQ is continuing to try to hold these levels. One thing I just want to note is that it's trying to hover above the 50 EMA, and that's going to be the major support to watch for. If it breaks below the 50, you're going to be watching the 363 support, which is going to be the next very important support if this yellow line breaks. And if that happens, it's going to slow down tech. NASDAQ is going to slow down and basically be correlated with this. There's a bearish divergence that's playing out for now, but it needs basically confirmation. So we could get a back test of this like 370 area. If it holds above 370, it has potential to keep going. If it touches 370, just starts chopping around, just fails to hold it, there could be a big rejection. It could continue to downtrend. And I think the odds favor this downtrending, basically looking at the bearish divergence. But we need confirmation. We need to see this break below the 50 to get even more bearish price action. And if that breaks, like I said before, 363, then potentially 360 could come, or even lower than that. There's also a possible head and shoulder structure, but like I said before, we have to wait for confirmation. Yes, either are possible, but the odds are favoring the downside. I'm making that clear, guys. I'm not just saying it's one or the other. I'm saying the odds are favoring downside because of the Fed speakers. But like I said before, always wait for confirmation just to be safe. I'm just saying what is more likely. For NIO, it's very mixed. I mean, NIO is technically very close to the 50 EMA. If it continues to break down, we're going to be watching major support at $9. I think it's on the 30-minute time frame. I was looking at one of these time frames where it was important. So the 200 EMA on the 30-minute time frames at exactly or just a little under $9. It's got to hold above $9 for there to be potential for the bulls. If NIO continues to break below 9.2 and it comes back to the support zone right here, the 200 EMA is going to be very important. If it breaks that, it's going to make its way all the way back down to the mid 8s. So it has to hold above the 200 above $9. Otherwise, it's going to get a rug pull. You could argue there's an imbalance up here, so it may make its way up first. It may try to like form a double top first and then come down. That's another possibility. For now, there's no sign of that happening. It looks like it's trying to base right now, though. That's the thing about NIO, is trying to base. So we're just going to have to wait and see how this goes for the time being. But until then, guys, here's what I'm seeing. To me, it looks like NIO is going to likely gap down a little bit thanks to Bullard. I think that's going to likely happen. It's going to get a nice bounce and try to make its way up into the mid $9 area. It's going to try to hold up for the time being. But then if this next Fed speaker comes out, Williams comes down, he starts slowing the market down. If Powell does the same thing in these other Fed speakers, then this may cause NIO to start breaking to the downside. And the odds do favor that for the next like week and a half or so. And even if NIO does, start breaking down a bit for the next like week and a half, don't forget the next major catalyst is going to be the very, very start of July when NIO releases its deliveries report for June. And then NIO can make a huge bounce if they do very, very well, or NIO could just get a rug pull if they do horrible. So I want to make that clear, okay? For now, it's okay if NIO pulls back. We're going to be waiting for July time for the next deliveries report, and that could fix this up. But until then, I'm looking for a potential gap down thanks to Bullard, maybe. A nice bounce later on. May try to make its way up and try to push up intraday. And then it all depends on the Fed speakers after that. If the Fed speakers start slowing the market down, they remain very hawkish, and the whole market starts slowing down, especially the NASDAQ, then NIO will most likely start downtrending. It all depends on them. And I think the odds favor that, in my opinion. If NIO manages to hold above 9.56, above the 50 EMA, it could get one more test of this like $10 to $10 area during the bounce phase before it starts downtrending. That's another possibility. But for now, the bigger move is, in my opinion, whether we get this bounce to the upside or if it's a very small bounce, it's going to likely start downtrending soon because of the Fed speakers, in my opinion. I think that odds favor that. A healthy pullback is completely fine. There's also a bearish divergence right over here. So I'm going to be looking for a small bounce, basically gap down in the morning, then a bounce. It could go all the way back up to this like $10 area because of this imbalance. It could go all the way up there, or maybe just stop a little short. Then later on, it may start downtrending because of the Fed speakers, and I think the odds favor that. That's my analysis on NIO. The odds favor that. And we're going to have to wait and see what these Fed speakers say, because that's going to be a little bit capricious, and that's going to have a bigger effect on the volatility in the markets. So until then, that's what I have for this video. Thank you all so much for listening. I hope you guys have a great Juneteenth weekend. Remain calm, cool, and collected, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Market to the moon as the long term is still incredibly bright, and peace out.